Good morning, everyone. It's really me. It's Fran Lewis. What's left of me on the MJ Network, and Peter James is here. I'm so excited because my favorite character, Roy Grace, is here, and we're to hear who his character is. This was probably the one book that got me. Of course, knowing the last page, I won't say anymore. So, how you doing?
Really good, Fran. Lovely to talk to you again.
Yeah,
You're looking well. You look younger than when I last saw you.
I've been looking forward to this like forever. And our rest team is watching because for some reason, well, my channel didn't come. Well, it'll come out. I'll fix it after. No problem. This goes to everywhere. So here we go. How does the first scene create what happens next? And tell us about why the queen was going to Brighton. And I know you like her. She
Yeah,
hasn't been on in a while and anything. I haven't seen her.
yeah, she's been busy, but she's great. What I really like about Queen Camilla is that she is probably the first member of the royal family, I mean,
Uh huh.
who has ever really made books her thing. You know, she loved books. In America, you've got Oprah Winfrey, you've got Reese Witherspoon, and you have big, high-profile celebrity champions of writing. We haven't had that. And the Queen Camilla is probably the first English person I can think of who really embraces books. Yeah, and she's not a snob. She likes well, she likes a humble crime author like me as much as like, you know serious literary fiction. I remember a friend of mine called me out the blue 10 years ago, and he said, "Whatever you're doing, stop doing it and go out and buy a copy of the Daily Mail, which is our biggest circulation newspaper." And I did. And there on page 3 was a photograph of Camilla, then Duchess of Cornwall, in our office with two of my Roy Grace books right behind her head. And she said I was one of her two favorite authors. The other was Jane Austen. So I thought, okay, I'll take that.
Did she read the book? Did she read this one?
She has read this. She suggested this book. Basically,
Yeah.
we started a kind of friendship, and she'd write to me after every book. She said, I really am a genuine fan. And she had read every book. And she said one day, she said, when are you going to set Roy Grace in London? And I thought, okay, if I'm going to set up Roy Grace in London, what about Buckingham Palace? And I discovered that what then happened was that a senior member of the royal household said to me, Her Majesty Queen Camilla really would like you to set a book in the palace. She's very keen on the idea. And I thought, well, how do I get a detective, Roy Grace, who's based in Brighton on the south of England, to be investigating a murder in Buckingham Palace in London, which is part of the Metropolitan Police terrain. And I'd always been fascinated by the Royal Train. And the Royal Train, um, as you may know, it's often been nicknamed a palace on wheels. And it's up to 9 carriages long. It's got a bathroom on it, it's got bedroom suite, it's got offices, and it's been used for many decades by members of the royal family if they're going to be away for more than one night on a tour to save them having to go back to London. And it's parked in a siding, heavily guarded, a bit too heavily guarded. There's a bullet hole in the dining room floor where a guard once discharged his Glock by mistake. Um,
You know what bothers me is that Google, for some reason, has all these ridiculous reels, and Facebook does too. And sometimes they portray the wrong people doing things, and I can't believe that the royal family would get up and do hopscotch or something like that. So I just delete it without saying anything. I don't know where they're getting all this stuff from, but it's annoying. So I know, and I read all of your reviews for this book. Wait till they read mine. I went a little overboard, but it really was brilliant. I have to tell you. How
thank
did you create her personality? I read every review that's on Amazon. I don't review for them for my own reason. I review if once I put this stream on LinkedIn, you're going to probably get a couple of hundred views.
Thank you.
Yeah, they do. I don't know why they love me, but yeah,
Oh,
I get hundreds of views. So how did you, I mean, create the personality of Camilla? Because when you read the reviews on Amazon, there's one that I told them it wasn't very nice.
she was really helpful to me in terms of I wanted what I made a decision because I had tremendous I was given tremendous access to Buckingham
She's so nice.
behind the scenes, and she's lovely. And what happened was I decided that I would make all the key people in the royal household fictitious. I would give them their real titles, like the master of the royal household, the keeper of the privy purse. But I thought, I cannot have Roy Grace and Queen Camilla. Sorry, I cannot have the king and the queen fictitious. Call him King Eric and Queen Doris just would have sounded ridiculous. So I thought I have to make them real. And I had tremendous help. I had help from Camilla because the second chapter in The Hawk is Dead is her and the king having breakfast. And I said to her, what happens? Tell me about what happens at breakfast. And she did. And then I had various members of the royal household reading the book as I went along, giving me guidance. So the book starts with the Queen's coming on the royal train to Brighton to start a 2-day tour of hospices in the south of England.
Mm.
Roy Grace has been tipped off there's going to be a big and not my king protest waiting for her when she arrives. And then, horror of horrors, the train is derailed in a tunnel just north of Brighton. And the Queen is quite heroic. She helps get people off the train, and they stumble out of the tunnel. And as they come out the tunnel, senior member of the royal household standing right next to her is shot dead by a sniper. And everybody assumes it's a failed assassination attempt on the Queen, except for Roy Grace. And he arrives on the scene and he says, look, this guy was standing 4 feet from the Queen. A sniper might miss by 4 inches. He's not going to miss by 4 feet. And it brings me into conflict with everybody else who disagrees with him. And the king demands to see him. So Roy Grace goes to Buckingham Palace. And I have the king very angry. And he stands up and sticks both hands in his pockets. And he says, look, I don't know who the hell you think you are, but clearly there's a lunatic out there trying to kill my wife. And a member of the royal household who read this chapter, he said, well, you've got that slightly wrong. The king would only ever put one hand in his pocket.
Well, I'll tell you what, after I read this, I won't go on trains anymore. This has happened around here a lot. Between the trains and the buses having accidents out of nowhere. So the train is derailed. So what does the driver check before taking on the passengers and why? And what is the view of the royal family? And let's come back to that one after. How did the train derail? And what is the driver supposed to check before people come on? Because I don't know if they do that here, but they're supposed to. The conductor, whatever, is supposed to check to see that the train is in one piece. And to be very honest, the only thing they're concerned about is putting the lights on the train to tell everybody it's holiday.
Well, the Royal Train drivers, the Royal Train is a special train, and there's only a small pool of drivers who are actually qualified to drive it. And they never know until the morning of the actual day itself if they're going to get selected to drive it, because for security reasons. And basically, without giving too much of the story away, there is a plot to derail the train, which nobody knows anything about. And you asked me if the Queen's read the book. And what happened was, when I saw the Queen several times when I was writing The Hawk is Dead. Last time, I remember seeing her in July, and she said, how's the book coming along? I said, well, Your Majesty, I've got you being quite heroic. You help everybody off the train when it's derailed. She gave me a sort of grin, and she said, I don't know if I would be that heroic. And she was wonderful. And then when the book was finished and we were working on the edit in February, I thought, I've got to have to get a copy to her, because if she doesn't like it, now's the time we can change things. My publishers bound a special copy of The Hawk is Dead, and they printed in gold on the front 001. and I had it hand delivered to the Queen. And I said, there's a note with it. I said, Your Majesty, this is the first copy in existence. It's an early proof that if anything you want changed, now is the time we can change it. And she invited me to Clarence House a week later. I didn't sleep the night before. I thought I was going to go in and she was going to tell me she hates it and I can't publish it. And she came up to me with this big smile on her face. She said, I absolutely loved it. I said, Is there anything you want changed? She said, Not one word.
I got upset with the murder, but what is the view of the royal family to Greaves and Bailey? And what is the relationship in Shannon joins the auction. So how do they really feel about her? I mean, some people like her, some people don't. And then when the guy was killed, I felt bad. I really felt bad because I thought he was there to protect her. Go like, what?
I've heard that the whole royal household absolutely love it.
I know.
They're all guessing who's who, and the Queen is now calling some of the characters in the book, the real life roles in the royal household, by their nicknames in the book. There's one character who's the master of the royal household in real life. His name is Sir Tony Johnston Burt, and in the book I call him Sir Tommy, and she's now calling him Tommy.
This book weighs more than I do. It's right here. And I have to tell you, this is probably the craziest thing. I had my pharmacist, my doctor's office, my other doctor's office all heard that I was reviewing this book. I had to get them copies of it. They're all reading it. And my pharmacist, Anthony, said to tell you it's one of the best books he's ever read. And he actually thanked me for sending it to him.
Wow, that is
he reads a lot, but not everybody likes everything. So when I walked in and I called everybody was so excited to get the book.
That's nice to hear. Yeah. Wow,
it's really great. Now, the privy purse. Why was he murdered? And what about Bailey? And then the king just talks about how he wanted to proceed. In real life, does King Charles have a say about any of this? Would he?
Does he ever say? I missed that. Sorry.
For the King and Roy would discuss how they want this to see. Of course, the privy purse was, how does the king want Roy to proceed in order to find out what really happened? Because the queen was targeted. Queen Camilla. I felt bad. I didn't want her to be killed.
The king is very hands-on. And what's nice is you actually genuinely feel the love. I mean, I think Camilla has earned her respect from the nation. I think when she and Charles first got together after the death of Princess Di, everybody was appalled, and she was regarded as the kind of the evil woman in the relationship. But in fact, she and Charles, their love predated Princess Di. It was the Queen Mother who interfered and prevented him from marrying the woman he loved. She said, "You can't possibly marry a woman who is not a virgin and is a divorcee." He married Princess Di, who I don't think he ever, unfortunately, didn't love. He still loved Camilla.
Now, my favorite room, I wanted a picture of this, is a royal room of collections. How is it supervised, and what does it have to do with the murders? How could they steal something in there? I just wanted, I couldn't wait. I kept reading about that. It was like, oh my God, they had everything in there. Just about everything that's in the palace is in there. But I wanted the books, basically. Oh, well.
When I was researching the book, I thought, because what's happening is the Buckingham Palace is in chaos because there's 776 rooms in the palace. There's over 1 million objects of art there, including paintings, ornaments. And because they're doing this £350 million, this is $500 million renovation, they're moving stuff around. I thought this would be the perfect opportunity for a group of villains in the royal household to start stealing items, thinking nobody's going to notice them and sell them on the dark web. And then I discovered a footman had actually done this. Stolen about $150,000 worth of items. And the silly idiot, he'd laid them out on his bed and photographed them and put them on eBay. His bed was in the Royal Mews, one of many, like in a royal dormitory, and they all have the same cover on with the same pattern. So he was identified from that, and he's now in jail.
Well, who were the major people in the investigation? And the character I really like was Shannon. I really liked her. And you got her out of prison. How come? I mean, she's got spunk. Seriously. Then we'll get to
I
Roy.
just, she,
Poor
yeah, she's.
guy.
I'm really pleased you liked her. She was in my previous book as well. I just thought she was
Yeah,
a great character. I think that one of the
I
hardest
love
things.
her.
Yeah.
So we've got Roy and Branson took over several reasons why I like Greaves was killed. And did he enroll in an advanced computer coding class requested of the king? Now, what was he suspicious of the royal household? Now, I'm not going to tell you who did it because that was brilliant. I was like, oh, okay, I got that. That was brilliant. Nobody's going to get it, trust me. So, why was Greaves killed? I mean, what was the purpose of killing him? The guy that gets killed.
Well, I don't want to give a spoiler for him, but
I know we can't tell him. I felt
he,
so bad.
he might have been about to spill the beans.
I mean, the poor queen was like, huh? But you know what I loved about her that you did? Just because he was killed, she was more concerned about the people that were with her to go with what she was going to do. She saved the people that were with her. She didn't, the police said, you got to go, we got to, save your life. She wasn't going to go until she made sure all her staff was saved.
Yeah, and she is genuinely like that. She's
Yeah, you have to love her for that. Yeah.
and what people don't know about the king, queen, and actually senior members of the royal family, they are all um, trained in self-defense.
Now the character that we'll just say a little bit about Rose. Rose? What does Shannon know, and what role does Rose play? A little. I'll tell you something. She may be whatever, but she's really good. She was a tough character.
I like writing strong women. I think that it's easier to, it's kind of not a cliche, but it's always easy writing strong men. But I think I love to try to create, and I get a lot of help from my wife. She's brilliant on sort of helping me to kind of create real, believable, strong women. I think because my mum was a very strong woman. She was a hugely successful businesswoman. I kind of grew up in a household where the kind of women rule and rocks, and so I've always taken a little bit of that with me.
Now, what I really love is this is not over. So Rose. What does Shannon know? And I guess as the suspect list grows, I'm not going to say who they are because I got them all here on my paper. How many suspects are there that might have killed him? There's like one, two, three, four, about five, six. But I was saying, how did you create so much, suspicion so it gets off of the person that might have done it, who is whoever the person is that was wise enough to do it. They'll never figure this out. Trust me, no one will.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure my readers didn't guess too quickly.
No, the readers better get the book. Trust me. If they want me to review their book, they better review their. I put this all over Facebook. You know what? I'm noticing that Facebook is a one big waste of time. Total waste of time. They have their own specific sites. They've invited me to join just about every group I have in. And all of a sudden, I got very popular. I get suspicious. So I post my own reviews. I blog my own shows. And you put something on LinkedIn or TikTok or X, I get very popular. So I don't even worry about it. So Rose watch her and check her. A false roster or those in protection department of the police. And then Roy wants to meet with Rose and Corbin. So does he ever get to really talk to her? I mean, she's pretty smart. I have to say that.
I think the time when he gets to talk to her is when his life is under threat from her.
Yeah. How does he? Well, Roy has his own process, and I love the way he completes his team. So, how does he proceed to uncover a killer? How does he work with his? How does he create his team? There's so many people, and yet everyone works together. Nobody stabs anybody in the back. So, how did you create that? Because up here they don't do that.
I think British major crime teams are quite collegiate. I spent a lot of time over the years sitting in on murder investigations. Sussex Police have been brilliant to me. I support their charities as a kind of quid pro quo, but also they like the way I portray them as kind of real people. So I've been allowed to sit in on many murder investigations, and I watch. I
So,
love
tell,
the different moving parts of the investigation work together.
now in this book, I'm looking back in here. There was an auction of some type, right?
Um,
There was an auction of some type in this one, isn't there? That she went to.
oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, who were the primary people that we should be concerned about? And tell us. I didn't like him. Tell us a little bit about Branson. I'm not crazy about this guy. Anybody that gives my Roy a hard time, forget it. You go. I mean, it was a good fit. I mean, if there's not a conflict, you're going to go to sleep while you're reading the book, right? So
And
tell us more about Branson. He's like in competition with Roy, and he wanted to take over the case. Not
he's
going to
kind of,
happen, people. Not going to happen.
he's kind of Roy's protege. What I met, it was about 20 years ago. I was out with the police one day, and I was put in a police car, and there was this young black cop, shaven head. He was a nice, really nice guy, and I said, how old are you? And he said, I'm 32. I said, are you going for promotion anytime? And he said, actually, it's only my second week in the police force. And I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I was a nightclub officer, and my kid was born, and I looked down at my kid in my wife's arms, and I thought, one day you're going to go to school, and somebody's going to ask you what you do for a living, and I want you to be able to say something you're proud of. I applied to join the police. And here, Roy always saw in him the really smart guy. And the guy who's trying to take over from Roy is that guy, Greg Moss, at the start, who they have this kind of big.
Now, the character that I wasn't sure that I like is Lady Greaves. How did you introduce her? That's his wife. I felt so. I don't know. I couldn't tell if she was upset or not.
I wanted to show her as one of those classic. There's a
Yeah.
certain type of English person who doesn't show any emotion. Um, very kind of glacial sort of character, and I wanted to show her one of those, like quite a snob, quite self-contained. Okay, her husband's just been murdered, but she's not going to let that emotion show.
Now, this is I'm on page chapter 97. I have the book memorized, so I know what I'm looking for. It says the murder inquiry of the century. So Grace and Branson go ahead, and who are they looking for? Who got murdered? And what is the Indian room?
The Indian Room is the most amazing room in Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
It's not one that the public can go into. It's actually where a huge number. It is run by a wonderfully titled gentleman called the King's Armourer. And the Indian Room is basically full of swords and daggers that George III and George IV were given in India in the mid-1800s. And if you, back at that time, the Indians made the strongest swords in the world. If you were in a sword fight, you'd want to have a sword made by an Indian. And they got these swords and daggers. And there's this wonderful dagger I saw called the Ibrahim dagger. And it's in the book, it's got a slit down the middle full of pearls. And then you hold it up, it goes clack, 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 clack. And those pearls are not decorative. They are there. If you were to stab me with that dagger, when you pulled it back out, half my insides would come out with it attached to the pearls.
The fun part is they're not going to figure out who's been doing all this. And they're not going to figure out who the real person is. I cracked up. I said, "Oh my God! No wonder everybody, this person knows what's going on." So while investigating, who does he rely on for Indian Shannon access? How do you access the dark web? What Shannon did, and why does Rose go after her own boss? I love that character. She's so evil.
Yeah, I love creating somebody, particularly.
Yeah.
I think we quite like evil. There's something quite wonderfully sinister, but actually deliciously sinister about an evil, attractive woman. It's sort of historically they don't quite meld together. I mean, you've got Bonnie and Clyde, you've got characters from history, but it's sort of it's almost cast against type, and there is this sort of. I always find a sense of wonder when you're reading a book and the person that you least suspect um, is the monster.
No, I know, and I won't say who. In order to get into Buckingham Palace with the Queen and the King, isn't there a procedure, person that allows them to come in? Don't they have to be vetted in some type? You just can't walk in there. I mean, to tour it, that's one thing, but to actually go to see the King and Queen, you can't.
No, I mean I was lucky because the Queen,
Yeah, that was brilliant.
the book written, what was so keen on the book, she basically facilitated all the. I had a 3.5 hour tour before I started writing the book, behind the scenes. I'm literally down in the basement, along all the corridors, up on the roof. It's an amazing place. I put my fitness tracker on. I walked 3.5 miles just around the corridor. And I
So
remember
have you ever been there? You've been into Buckingham Palace, I
yes,
imagine.
I've had two 3.5 hour tours for the book. Firstly, when I was researching the book, and then when I finished the book, um, I was given a tour retracing all the steps of Roy Grace and the characters and the villains, all the different. So I mean, everything that I have written inside the palace is accurate in terms of what it looks like, what's there, and it's an extraordinary place because it's the public-facing parts are quite elegant, smart, but behind the scenes, it's quite shabby. Um, there's a corridor where the late Queen Elizabeth went from the late Queen Elizabeth apartments where she had her bedroom um, to her office come sitting room. It's about 100 yards along this carpeted corridor. And as part of the renovations, they lifted the carpet and took up the floorboards, and they discovered that someone 100 years ago had used a 10-foot length of the floorboards for sawing wood on, and they were all half sawn through. If the late Queen Elizabeth had, for any reason, jumped up and down, she'd have done a Monty Python and just gone straight through.
My cousin was a knight in Parliament, Leon Schaller. She was friends with when Queen Elizabeth was there. So
Wow,
my grandfather got to meet her.
really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. If they didn't send me pictures and tell me, I wouldn't have believed it. Yeah, he actually got to meet her because my cousin was very powerful. When he came to America with his wife, I said, "Pictures, please." He said it was interesting to meet her. She was very austere and very whatever, but oh God, that would have been nice, really
Yeah,
nice.
I met her a few
You
times.
met Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah,
She seemed really straight into the. She loved the people.
yeah, I got invited.
Good point. Yeah.
The last time I saw her was around about 2015. I got invited to the palace. It was the bicentenary of Charles Dickens. And I suddenly found myself in a corner with her, literally, she and I on our own. And she really is small. I mean, she was 5 foot probably, Matt. I said to her, Your Majesty, do you like to read?
Mm.
And I said, Well, I never have any time. She said, I've always got these red boxes I have to get through. She said, if I do have any time, what I do like is to read Kipling.
Now, looking at chapter, this scared me, chapter 100, and they're down somewhere. How did you decide the scene underneath the train? How does somebody go under there to find whatever they need to find and get out? I mean, I know that there are people up here that have gotten stuck on the train, stuck on the buses. Two buses exploded, two school buses exploded. They can't figure out why. They don't understand. So how if somebody decides that they want to find something underneath the train, how did they go there? And would they come out alive? Seriously.
Not if the train, I mean, the train's moving, you haven't got much.
Yeah.
If they're going to
Yeah,
investigate,
fast moving train too.
yeah.
That's scary. So if you had to do a character analysis of Rose, what would you say about her? You can't hate her. I mean, you have to hate her. But she has an interview with Roy. How does she deal with it? How does she get around trying to make him think that she's so sweet and lovely, which she's not?
That's the classic ploy of a psychopath or the narcissist.
Yeah,
They're very good at, most psychopaths are very good at getting away with it because they've got that
I know.
charm until you see through it.
Before I forget, this is the only stream I'm doing in December. Just one. For real.
Wow, thank you.
I wasn't doing any, but I said I couldn't resist it. On January 8th, New York Times author R.J. Coretta says I'm his favorite person on the universe. I don't know why. He's coming on. On the 12th, Michael Butler, and he deals with 1940 pictures. Half of it is Kimmel, and Rimmel, the pictures that they took of Hitler. So I'm going to do yeah, it's good. The pictures, he's going to do the text because I don't want to deal with that. And on the 14th, the reason why I have my brain, my reading professor and I, Dr. Cavuto, will go on to do another stream on reading content, and he didn't tell me what I'm doing yet. So I haven't looked it up. So those that I have a few in Barry Birchett in March. So if anybody wants to stream, now is the time. So now this is an important question. What research do you do into the dark web? And who vets the palace staff to make sure that they don't have anything against them? Because this was clever.
What research into the dark web? I did
Yeah.
that with the police. I asked the police digital forensics team how I could access the dark web, and they said, "Do not come in here. We'll do it with you because you don't want to do it on your computer and get all that bad stuff on it because you'll leave trails that people you don't want to deal with are going to come back to you on." So I sat in the police office, and they literally showed me on the police computer how to access it, and everything that I needed for the book. They found for me.
This is like, now, I'm not going to say who it is. How do you create an arrest of a crazy person? How do you create that the person that's arresting the person doesn't doesn't get killed?
Well, it's different in England to the United States because I know in the United States I've been out with the police in quite a bit over the years in the States. The police pull out their guns, whereas the British police by and large do not carry guns. There's only one. The Royal Protection Squad carry guns, but most police officers don't. So they're having to use really their mouths as their best weapon. They now carry tasers if they have somebody who's difficult. But it's very much still they have to use their body language, their mouths more than anything in England.
Well, I have the questions here because some of them forgot to print out. So sad. Um, in the last final scenes, how did you create the dagger? Where did that come from? How did you create what she tried to do to Roy? Because I got nervous.
That dagger is real.
Is it real? It's real, right?
Yeah, it's called the Ibrahim dagger. It's the one I mentioned a little while ago with the pearls in it. And that was, I think it was George IV was given it as a gift from India. And it really is a lethal weapon. I've held it. It's heavy, and it makes this sound when you lift it up. It goes clack clack. It's very sinister. It's what I love about it is that it's this most beautiful dagger. At the same time, you just know what its evil intention is.
Now I got it in front of me now. How did you create, and Royce, how did he finally able to get this person? And the last few scenes will shock everyone because you're going to get blindsided. That's all I'm going to say about that. How did he get blindsided? They blindsided. I mean, really, that's really great.
I'm delighted.
So,
Obviously, I've done my
yeah.
job.
So where does Sharon go? Is she coming back in the next one?
She might well do. Yeah, I
You
like.
didn't end this series yet. You're not ending it yet.
No
No.
way. I've just
You
finished
can't do that because Roy would call me and tell me no, no way.
I've just finished the next book, which will be out next year.
Really?
Yep.
When is that coming out and when am I getting it? Because I'll be very upset if I don't.
It'll be out in October next year, so you'll get a copy.
October of
Well,
next year?
yeah.
It's so sad that I have to wait so long.
Oh, thank
How
you.
about Camilla? Will she want to be in the next one?
I've got a reference to the next one.
What? Is she going to be in the next one?
Not going to be in it, but she's referenced in it. But I may well put her in a future one. I think she's absolutely loved it. I think she's had a lot of fun, and apparently the king loves it too. He's really they're both laughing about it, and they've had a lot of fun over it. I think they like the fact there's been so much exposure. There's been so much kind of negative press about Prince Andrew, the issues with Harry. I think they've actually loved having something that actually portrays them in a good light, and there's a bit of fun, and it's taken a little bit of focus away from all the kind of tough stuff they're having to deal with.
Now, how would you define the title of this one?
Well, the hawk is dead. The hawk refers.
Yeah,
to,
I know.
Titles are always really hard, and I was thinking really hard about this, about, again, let's sort of categorize, but the kind of assassination thrillers, and quite a lot of them seem to have a bird in the title, like The Eagle Has Landed, the Day of the Jackal, and the hawk just popped one day, and the guy is called Sir Peregrine Falcon, and in America, a falcon is a member of the hawk family.
Now, before I forget, I can't forget her, Cleo. Tell us about his wife, Cleo. I love her. She's one of my favorite people.
Oh, thank you. She came. What happened was years ago, probably about 20 years ago. I was doing research. I was at the local, the mortuary, Brighton Hove mortuary, and I arrived on a wet Monday morning in November, horrible wet morning, and I was expecting some wizened old sort of demon or something, how come into the dead body place? But there instead was this really, really pretty 28-year-old blonde-haired girl, and she was locoming from another mortuary, and she was so different to what I'd expected. I thought, we're going to have to become a character. So I've made Cleo. She's well educated, and she loves doing the job because she can help people, the relatives. Most people who end up in a mortuary, literally, the people who got up one morning, went out the door, and the next thing their other half knows is that they're in the mortuary, and they have to go see them. Used to have to identify them. Now it's done by DNA, but still, they were having breakfast, and now they're dead. And a big part of the role of the chief mortician is to try to give some kind of comfort to these people on the worst day of their life, and she finds that she's really good at that. And then Roy meets her, and then they fall in love.
Now, before I end this thing, I've always been fascinated. I've read too many books in the last week, despite the fact that I'm getting my eyes rechecked this week. No, I get to every couple of weeks I have to because I read so much, too much. So how does somebody slip when like somebody like Roy or the president or somebody? How does somebody slip in a note and nobody sees them? How do people get a note out of nowhere? It's like, well, we'll read the last page. I'll figure out why I said that. But that's scary. So, what's next for them? Oh my God.
Wow. I've set the next book. One of my favorite books ever. I, I,
Yeah.
I would put it in my top 10 books today. It was Arthur Haley's novel Hotel.
Uh huh.
Don't know if you ever read it, but I read it as a teenager. And I thought, wow, this book is so well researched. I mean, you really understand what running a hotel is like. The manager,
Uh
the
huh. Yeah.
way to operate. Haley just got under the skin of what running a hotel is all about, and the characters in it. You know, the burglar who's there, the aristocratic couple. And I thought one day I want to try and write a book that's set in a hotel that's kind of that feels as real as this. So um, I have a killer planning a murder in a hotel, and that's how it kind of begins.
Well, they're not going to guess who did this. And that's the funny thing is like hiding them right there. Let me put my real glasses on. Okay, now I can see. No, I have this thing about glasses. You know that.
Yeah,
Yeah, these I just got, and I'm going to see if he has
they're
these.
cool. I like them.
Yeah, these are really cool.
Yeah.
But I need to get them to see if he has another one in another color because I love glasses. I don't go shopping for clothes. I go shopping for glasses. I'm little. So where can everybody find out about you and your book? You don't have any other series besides this one, do you? The Roy Grace, that's
Yeah,
it?
I have quite a lot of standalone books.
I don't have them. How come? I didn't get those.
I haven't published one for 3 or 4 years. The last one I did was about 3 years ago. It was Sandy's story. It's called "They Thought I Was Dead." It's all about Roy Grace's missing wife.
See, I didn't get those because I looked online on Amazon. I go like, wait a minute. Some of them I got, most of them I don't have. I don't have. So whatever I don't have, I need to read because I need to read stuff that doesn't put me to sleep. That's really no. I read something yesterday. I won't say the book's coming out in January, and I won't say who the author is. And the main character is blindsided, and she's not too bright, and she falls for the wrong guy, who happens to be a serial killer.
Okay.
And he's really clever. He gets all these women to take care of whatever the heck he wants them to do, and then after he gets bored with them, he kills them because basically they wrote a book and he wanted to steal their novel. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Huh.
After a while, I go like, okay, I can figure out. So where can everybody get all 20,000 of your books?
You can get I've written about 44 books, I think, in total.
Yeah.
If you go on my website, which is peterjames.com, you can see everything that I've written, and then everything's available on Amazon.
Well, let me end the stream. Let me see. Where is